we'll actually look at the crypto market in a way where you're looking at it on the short-term narrative, where you're understanding the patterns on short term with respect to what's happening on a bit zoomed out view. So in here, this is Bitcoin, still on a 4 hour, but looking back at last 4-5 months. When you zoom in, you kind of get to see a rising wedge, which historically breaks to the downside. But you may expect a fake out to the upside. Why? This trend line, which the price action was meeting each and every time, or at least coming close to it, it can come back up there and say, okay, guys, I'm about to break higher. That shows two patterns, short term and medium term, breaking to the upside if it actually does that. A lot of people may go and buy, and then they may say that was a fake out. That will have the liquidity to hunt the stop losses all the way to the downside, if that's clear. So that's Bitcoin on a short term. So that small leg to the upside, that can give the altcoin some room to the upside. Say you pick up the Bitcoin dominance. We'll put that on a 3-day so we understand the macro picture. This is what actually Bitcoin dominance highlights. The moving average is still above or it's below the moving average, but it is starting to show a signal like this. See? That is a possible trend to the upside, right? It creates higher high, higher lows, basics. So in here, you had a lower low, but it formed kind of a double bottom that broke higher, retested, and it's trying to bounce off. Good. So now you have the 1, you have the 2. Are you going for the 3? This is the question. So when you go back in history, we have seen this multiple times. Like you make a double bottom like that, you break higher, you retest that and go back high. Now, in this case, you came back and retested this previous local high, wicked a bit higher and then went back down. So if you do that, meaning if you come back up to this region, wick and go back down, now I would argue at that point, you have more odds that some of these altcoins are going to run decent. But is that going to happen in December? Is that going to happen in Jan? Most likely no. Feb to March is an area where we may actually get to see such a move in the market. But if that breaks and Bitcoin dominance actually goes further high to take this or to test that, it may not look attractive. Because we all wanted the price action to show that the Bitcoin dominance is falling below this. That would have made a lot more sense. But right now, when you plot this, there is a troubling factor like this. I mean, I'll put that on a weekly, so it's a bit more noise-free and clear for you guys. Can you see this? I mean, the trouble in here is you're connecting all these tops from last 7-8 years. And you're still on a macro chart. You're on a weekly. This is what it would look like. Okay, we'll remove all those. We'll just put it on a line chart so it's easy for you guys. And then observe this. This is the pattern. We are here. Now remember, if this bounce off and breaks, that means that's a breakout, retest, and a bounce. That should argue the Bitcoin dominance is going to test something above that. Some resistance. So what can that be? One is here in 73 and we haven't seen such a level until 2020. And I'm like, okay, what the hell is going to come back here in 2025 or 2026 to match us going back to 2020? There should be something on a panicky level. Yeah, that is possible. So on the Bitcoin dominant side of the equation, this is what it actually conveys. But say you go pick up the alt market. This is where you're watching like, okay, if Bitcoin is about to go higher, I mean, the Bitcoin dominance is about to go higher and the altcoin market shows you it's breaking a trend line, chances are Bitcoin is also going down because the Bitcoin dominance can still go up while Bitcoin goes down. So you have a micro trend line here, the short term, medium term. But then when you zoom out, this macro trend line is still valid. You're below that. You broke that to the downside with enormous amount of momentum. Now, question is when you zoom in, Do you see the price action building up in a way that it's literally about to blow and come back up? Now, technically speaking, this levels that should be met. I mean, you broke that region after testing that for a long period of time as a support and resistance. Here it was a support, here it was a resistance. Get? So you coming back up here, testing that, and then going back down would be a very good choice. But what's the trouble? This leg to the downside, you're still finding it so hard. So maybe you can do this and then come back up, go down. Now that would match with what Bitcoin dominance is arguing. One. Two, that would make a macro pattern like this on Bitcoin. You see that? That is possible too. So that means it can be an extended cycle to the downside, another 6, 9, 10 months to the downside, just being choppy, throughout choppy. So if you're not prepared for that, mentally, it's going to irritate you. Say there will be a lot of micro cap coins when you go up, and you kind of get to see a lot of them are doing this. The pattern is forming. Yes, it's a trading range. Yes, it's a range bound motion, but you're trying to create a pattern. Yeah. Now, if that pattern breaks to the upside, your measured move is different. Your measured move would be higher. You'll have to take it like this. But if it doesn't, it may come up to test that. Those are micro scenarios, not macro. Thus, you're not actually focusing on macro for those. Why? Because the moment you zoom out on these assets, you're like, okay, what the hell is really happening? You wicked to the bottom, you touched that support. So the market is saying, I already did touch that support. I don't have to come back and absolutely nail that one more time. Okay, that's one. Two, this previous resistance, when extended, became a support back in 2024 August, and right now we are at that point. How are we going to bounce off? So the price action is bringing a lot more confusing signals, saying this asset is above a macro trend line. But that macro trend line can break. We saw that in Doge after holding on to that, but putting in lower highs that broke to the downside. So are we going to see something similar here? You bounce, you drop, you bounce, you drop. Is that something which the price is going to show us? So primary thing is you go, you watch what the total alt market is doing. Then you focus on the total crypto market itself. Because as I say, if the total crypto market is trending down, not a single asset can actually go up. Random micro cap coins may do that, but big projects, decent projects, the liquidity needed ones, they'll have hard time finding that liquidity. Now, what would happen or what should happen on a macro time frame is that when you are on a monthly, we all understand this very clearly, you broke to the downside, but the moving average has been a support for a long period of time. So when you're creating such a pattern, you're breaking through that to the downside, a retest and a drop would make way more sense. Now, this goes in line with what we just saw in the Bitcoin dominant side of the equation as well. So the Bitcoin dominance can go up, the altcoin can surge, the total crypto market can go up, and then from there it kind of goes back down. So keep all this narrative in, because the price action is not invalidating any of these. You are literally in there. So hold your line, stay steady, and watch if some of these assets are giving up a key region of support. Say if you pick XRP, you'll note the fact that this is the key regional support. If you give that up, it's done. There's a long way to the downside. If you pick Ether for that matter, you'll actually see there's a long-term channel, which is, it was holding the price to the upside for a long period of time. Then we broke that to the downside. Now, a retest and a rejection would be bad, but last time, remember, there was a retest rejection, which was a fake out. Then you went back up. Now you hit the roof and came back down. So if you get rejected, that's a long way down, another 50-60% drop just from there. So keep in mind, the market has not shifted. Now, if you put this on a quarterly chart, a monthly chart, higher time frame, what do you really notice in Ether? You came back up here, you took the resistance, you wicked above, and then you came back down. That usually shows the momentum is still alive. Now, which direction is the momentum? This was the momentum. You haven't changed that. So we're waiting for that. So have patience, ride this,